Hi everyone, this is Andre. We're back after a short while, now with a new video from Good Climbs. That was the grading chart, I guess, but it's a standard V grading system. And my plan for this session, which was Friday, just yesterday, I'm recording the voiceover on Saturday when everybody's at the Nationals. And that's the reason why I decided to give this gym a try, because Boulder Space was closed yesterday due to the setting, and because in my new training plan, Wednesday and Sundays are the main training days. Fridays I should take it easy, and also the night before going to Good Climbs I had a very bad sleep. So I definitely wanted to take it easy. I also had to take some coffee, which I normally don't do because I was feeling pretty tired. So the plan was really just to go through all the V1s, V2s, because I read on the reviews that even the easier grades are technical. And I do have to say, after my experience, that yeah, even some of the V1s and definitely the V2s felt challenging for my level, which might be, I don't know, V3, V4. You're gonna see some V3s, V4s later in the video, but that was really just what I randomly decided to try, and mostly slap. So anyway, I'm not sure if I should talk about the V1s. I think the beta wasn't that complicated for the V1s. Although you can see here, for example, I'm smearing. Also, like, standing on these things wasn't the easiest part. I think you can easily slip on these things. And what else? Yeah, given the reviews that are not very favorable on Google Maps, I was afraid about it, but I do have to say that the gym was pretty good. I really like the setting on these easier climbs. They have at least 2 sections, 2.5 slabs, which I'm definitely a fan of. So if I ever have a day when I want to go into a different gym other than Boulder Space, I'm probably gonna go back to this one and maybe try to see if I can do all the V3s and V4s. When it comes to the AC, I think that was a bit of a problem. I was there from 2 p.m. to 4:30 on Friday, so it started to get a little bit more people, and that I guess can help with the worse air quality. But I think only, I don't know, maybe in the mid-session or somewhere towards the end, I started to feel like I was a little bit hot, but when I arrived, it was pretty good. And also, like, I didn't feel like any, I don't know, dust was in the air or something like that. So yeah, it was good. I'm actually gonna go as far as to say that this may be the best gym that is inside a mall, because of how spacious it is. And you saw the overview at the beginning of this video. So it's really just walls around the sides of the space, and then you have this big island in the middle, and there's plenty of space in between for people to sit, so it's not as cramped as Beehive and also some parts of G-Hive, like the aquarium. So yeah, this is the first V2 that my friend was trying. It was a bit crimpy, I have to say. Also, another thing is that I think most of the climbs that I try to do them with a 3-finger drag, even though the one that you just saw wasn't like that, because I still have a flapper from I don't know which session. I didn't want to tape it, so I just try to mostly rely on my fingers, which again maybe wasn't the best way to stick to the plan, because this should have been an easier session. And of course, once I got into it, I wanted to keep climbing, and then also I put more pressure on my fingers because I was using the 3-finger drag and mostly just, yeah, I didn't like hold the jugs as you would normally hold them, I think, in most of the cases. I forgot to comment on the previous one. That was like a slab. That was also very interesting for V2. Just making sure not to fall. This is the part where I did the biggest mistake, that foot slip. I don't even know why, how it happened, because the foothold is pretty good. Also, another thing is that I did try to read the boulders, I think even the V ones, before I got on, so making sure I know where the holds are and how I'm going to probably sequence it. I think it's a really good exercise regardless of the difficulty that you're doing. And sometimes I did climb things differently once I started climbing, just because it felt different once you get on the wall. But yeah, this one is overhang. It has it's pretty much juggy, as you can see all the way through. I decided to start with an inside flag, just so I don't have to do any foot swaps. Here is a drop knee, and then unwind, and I decided to cut feet because, I don't know, it felt, this part, you can see my right foot was kind of like toe hooking and pressing into it, and then I probably did an unnecessary heel hook for the top. This one, I read it differently from the ground. I felt like I'm going to maybe swing myself and rotate, going into the big hole that you see above me that I'm gonna reach soon. But I crimped this little thing that was probably mostly a foothold, and I was able to do everything pretty much statically. And here, just a quick stand up into a Gaston, and then some hip movement. This one, this is the V2. Could be that I already climbed a bunch of boulders, and I was a little bit tired, I don't know, but this one and the blue one next to it felt like harder from the V2s. Not like, I don't know, super hard, but I did have to focus a little bit more than on the other V2s. This one was one of the easier ones. I guess it's kind of like a balancy thing, sort of a slab. When it comes to reading, I think this one I didn't read much. I just improvised on the wall. I think maybe I was crimping too much with the right hand. But I think after that I started to focus more on the feet. Also, when it comes to my overall feeling of how I climbed, I think I climbed well. Of course, given the difficulty, but yeah, I mean, you can see a decent climb even on the lower grades. I think the very first one that I did at the start of the video, that's the one that I climbed pretty poorly. I felt like some positions were totally stupid. And then that one foot slip on the yellow V2. And this one, when I was trying to read it, there was one move that I wasn't sure how I'm gonna do it. I had two betas in mind, and it's going to be after this crossover where you unscrew, and here I didn't know how to go higher, but I went with this method and it worked just fine. And also, this part of the boulder, I was just saying that I think I climbed pretty well, but this part of the boulder, I think I didn't do the best way, I'm not sure. But I like this step through and step down. So this is these are now just gonna be random V3s, V4s. I did this one right after I did the blue V2 in this section, so it's not like I climbed all the V2s first. There was one guy who recognized me from my videos, so I just wanted to give the boulder a try because I was looking at it while we were talking about it. And this was definitely the crux of the boulder, this part. I'm not sure if that's the intended beta, but yeah, I had to pull myself a little bit more and then way over the right foot. And the rest was fine as long as you knew where to grab those crimps. And this is what I actually did after all the V2s. I wanted to spend some time here in the slab section, hoping that it wouldn't use my fingers that much, but as you know, it's not always the case unless it's a no-hand slab or something like that. This part was, I'm not gonna say sketchy, but I was pretty unsure about the right foot. So I had to push it a little bit more to make sure I don't slip and fall down, but otherwise the start was pretty good. And then I decided to try the white V4 right next to it. I had an idea about the foot sequence. I thought that I have to end up with my left foot on the far right chip on the volume, so that then I can step through into the big macro on the right side. I tried to do a foot swap, didn't work. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll try to start already in this this foot position, because then I can just cross with my left and be set up to make the, I don't want to say if it's a crux move, but yeah, to make this part where you have to keep the balance on the wall. Here I'm just trying to see if I can, or if I'm supposed to use that crimp on the volume, and that works. So I'm gonna try it again. And here we have the cross. And now I'm going to try to reach for the crimp as well, but my hips just fell off. And then I thought about the different beta, that maybe I'm gonna start on my right foot, which makes the start easier and maybe intended. And then I'm gonna cross here already and try to balance first before I make the step to the right side. And that is the beta that worked for me, and I didn't even need to crimp. And here for the second part, I tried to read it from the ground, but I had absolutely no idea what I'm going to do. But once I got here, it all kind of like fell into place, like you're supposed to turn around here, and then you just go into the top and secure the heel, and that's the V4. So then I went to the other slabby section here. I think this might be a new boulders, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't try the, I don't know how they call it, but it's the boulder of the week, which is right on the left side of me with the colorful holes. This one was very nice. You have a lot of crimps, but you're not supposed to probably pull much on them. So mostly just rely on the feet. So far so good. Here I decided to skip that one and just go all the way to the top. And here maybe I pulled too much. Now that I'm looking at it, there's a foothold on the gray volume. Maybe that's better to use. Here's another V3 that is not purely slab at the bottom part, but once you get on the volume, it's kind of slab. I don't know why I picked this one again, because it has some creamy parts, but I think I climbed it pretty nicely. So this is the slabby part, like you just press into that one. This is a jug, step through, and then the top is a nice jog. And this is the final boulder of the session, V4. I wasn't sure at first. I thought that maybe if it's a jog, you have to like jump up and like land with your left foot on the start hold and then stand up. But then the second option was to use the side of the wall. So I immediately gave up on the first idea, because the start hold is not a jug, it's like a flat edge, big one. So you cannot see it right now, but my left left palm, like I'm palming, you can see it right now. Problem with the first attempt was that my left hand was on the far left side, so I couldn't bring my left foot up. And then the second time I fell off. I tried to go straight into that one, but it didn't work. And then the guy you see on the left side, he just cruised through this boulder, so he gave us an idea to do this. And that definitely made it super easy to stand up. Although that move, like catching it, wasn't the easiest for me, so it might be even more difficult if you don't have the span. And the rest of the boulder, I did practice some no-hand slab and something like that before on Sundays. So these were pretty big holds, so I didn't feel that bad in that height. I still went again to try to see if my method would work, and finally on this attempt I did it. And that's it. That's the session from Good Climbs. Definitely recommend this gym. Give it a try, and see you in the next video from Boulder Space.